Okay, people, it's Christmas time. I got Liz with me in the studio.
Yes.
I even got Santa. Hold on. Let me get Santa for you. 1 second, right? The music's still going, of course. I know you can't really hear it. So...
Happy Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
Santa's dancing. Yeah, so I hope to get some listeners today, and because we've got a great topic, which is looking good versus feeling good. And I got Liz Marsland with me. Liz, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good, yes.
How much time, mate?
No, of course. And this is some excitement been building around this program, and I really do hope that we get some listeners. And if not, if you're listening to us after this is live, then type some comments in the comments chat about what you think. And so we're going to jump right into it. And Liz, just introduce yourself. I know you've been on the podcast before, but just tell us about yourself and where you're coming from for this session.
Sure. So I am a personal trainer. I lived in South Africa for 7 years, where this topic is very hot, actually.
Okay.
More so, maybe. Yeah. And moved to London 3 years ago. So I work in wellness, yoga, well-being, meditation, all things health and fitness. That's my passion.
So it's your full-time job, right? You're doing this all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. Work with individuals, work with groups, work with companies. Yeah, that's what I love doing. Help people feel good in different ways.
Yeah, and it's been challenging for personal trainers over this the lockdown, and it's also been challenging for people who kind of like were gym reliant. Okay, so people who like, well, how have you found that people who are gym reliant, so they don't know how to work out at home? How's it been going for them, and how's it been on their body image, their mental state? What's your experience?
I think it's been tough. Like, I know for me, it's opened different doors in a way, which has been so great. So the park scene obviously has taken off. As you know, with calisthenics, people were really relying on the outdoor gym suddenly. And then when they closed those down, that was a bit of a downer.
Oh, yeah.
But, some people that just completely just decided not to exercise at all, because for them it was all about being part of the community, and they needed that interaction. But obviously Zoom has taken over, isn't it? That's been a godsend. It's not ideal because you don't get that interaction, but it has definitely been a godsend for company classes, getting a sense of community, so you can see all your little friends' faces on the screen at least. I just did that 5 minutes, but pros and cons. It just depends on if you had the motivation to even do that. I think it's really, really tough, especially if people haven't been able to get the barbells and the equipment.
So motivation, though, I'm just checking that we are in fact live and stuff. So just making a little double check here.
Yeah, motivation is key. I did some one-on-ones with a company not long ago. Motivation was definitely a thing that was lacking. Oh, hello, I was on the screen.
We are there.
We're the only viewers right now.
I'm sure we'll get some interested people in what we're talking about today. Motivation to actually go and do something. I've heard some people talking about like little comments on Facebook and with social media about, I don't want to come out of lockdown with looking like the fattest guy, back in the office. So it's got to be pretty tough.
That's somewhere in their mind. So maybe at the beginning of lockdown, they're a bit low. And then when it comes to hearing that they've got 3 weeks, they're like, right, I've got 3 weeks to work now.
It's kind of like when you get ready for a wedding, and you're like,
that kind of thing, yeah.
Or you're going to your summer holiday, you're like, I gotta have that beach body, gotta look good.
Quick. I mean, we definitely get those.
Yeah. And then you can't get your perfect body in 3 weeks, it's not. So I don't know.
I mean, there are ways about this, as we know, through diet and things, the extremist way.
Crash diets, yeah. No.
I don't know. I think this second one's been tougher in a way, because people were like, I thought I'd done that now, so I can't do all of that again. Like I think motivation's almost been a little less, but they found their little ways of doing it outside. But the weather, Clint, how are you finding the weather being a southern hemisphere man? It definitely has an effect on your mood, doesn't it, and your motivation level.
Yeah, I don't suffer from SAD as much as like my wife's got it quite bad, and she kind of gets a bit down in winter, but I'm okay. And I was just commenting on I'm part of the Health Coaches UK group, and this lady Heather, she does cold water swimming, And so she's been doing it up in actually down in Poole. So the water's like 9 degrees or something like that. And I was mentioning to her that when I came to England 10 years ago, I was like cold averse. I was like, no, please don't, I don't like cold weather, and this country sucks because it's so cold. And 2 years ago, that's when I started doing the Wim Hof training and a bit of cold exposure. And now it's becoming a bit more of my friend,
Nice.
And
Yeah.
if you
after that initial shock, you kind of ease into it a bit more.
So if you saw a few of my posts, I think yesterday I mentioned as well, 2 days ago, running in at 0 degrees, that was pretty intense. And I was actually doing some hand movements on the floor, because my feet weren't cold at all, really, running barefoot.
Were they like you just lost sensation to your feet?
Maybe because my hands were so cold that I was like, oh, like, I don't know, my feet were fine. When I came back, my thumbs were like actually paining, like really paining.
How did you get them on?
I did, after about 5 minutes. Crazy. I'm excited. Play some video games. So, okay, sorry. Let's get back onto that, the topic of today. Now, I'm probably not the most, should we say qualified? Maybe not that's the right word, but I've never had body image problems, so I can't really speak from that angle. But I know that people do have body image problems, right? And that's why a lot of people could want to do weight loss and stuff like that. And we mentioned, that crash diet type thing, where that's kind of like not feeling so good to look good.
Exactly. Yeah. And even though you want to eat this and that, it's restraining yourself all the time, isn't it? So it's almost like mental torture. I thought it was going to be interesting with from a male's perspective as well and a female's perspective, but it sounds like you've managed to skim around the body image issues, so that's good.
It's not saying it's that. I think for everyone it's a little bit there, but maybe it's higher for some and then less for others.
Yeah, I think what I found is I was thinking about this earlier as a social experiment. I think people who are always into sports, this came from this chap that said he just gave up CrossFit, for instance, during lockdown because he always went to the gym for the community and for the sports and that kind of like competitive side and performance side. So he's just not interested in trying to put himself through a bit of torture in the park or with some dumbbells by himself at home. He's just not interested in that at all. So but then he doesn't want to get fat, so as soon as the gyms are open, he'll be back into it and trying to get strong again. So it's different mentalities, isn't it, of why he originally got into it. Probably people that have always been at a commercial gym but less so into a sport. I don't want to generalize, but maybe they're doing it more for body image and less for performance and feeling good.
That's a good point. Yeah, because I think it's good to mix it up. Maybe this is a tip or trick for somebody out there who's exactly what you're talking about, Liz, going to the gym only to look good, is to take up
big habit.
Yeah, and maybe take up something like what I was doing was playing touch rugby on a Saturday, and the motivation to not be the person who's panting and out of breath and like, oh, I can't carry on, is to go for a run. When you like on a Wednesday, I'd be like, okay, I've got to go for a run because I know on Saturday I'm playing touch rugby and I don't want to be that guy.
There we go. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. And maybe go to the gym and do a few secret sessions that people don't know about, so you can make sure you're stronger than everyone else as well. Yeah. I think the mix is definitely a good thing. I mean, it's a massive mental side, isn't it? Because people go to the gym for that pump and that sense of confidence and feeling good. But obviously, then they go and check themselves out in the mirror afterwards and say, "Yeah, it's working." But yeah, I think it's been a challenging time mentally for people to probably look at that and like, why are they exercising, and trying to like looking for more internal motivation, because you've got your extrinsic and your intrinsic motivation levels as well. So, as a trainer, it's cool to understand that. So if people are only looking for a body image, it's usually short-lived period that they'll train with you for. Like you said, for their beach body or something. Yeah, because it's extrinsic. They're trying to get gratification, from external sources. But for intrinsic, so like I want to feel good and I want my mood to be better and I want to be healthy and live forever. And then it's a much more powerful decision basis, a motivation, and usually those ones last longer. Your decision making process for doing training has to roll with all the ups and downs, doesn't it? So if you've had a bad day and you didn't make training, you can't then let that mean you're going to slip off completely and eat chocolate cake and cry yourself to sleep. But we've all been there. So it's just
Yeah.
about understanding why you're doing things. And then I guess some people just, they don't know because they just get used to the rat race.
True. So why? I'm reading Jay Shetty's book, Think Like a Monk, and he talks about the why ladder. So, and he shows you this picture of there's a why here, and it kind of there's multiple whys.
Yeah.
And when I went through my coaching training, it was also trying to find out the why beneath the why.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is important for people. Like I was just talking to one of my clients yesterday, and I was like, how can I get you to actually do it every week? Because he was committed to doing some HIIT training every week, and he slipped up a few times, and you got to try and coach around these obstacles. And I said, well, it always comes down to your big motivating factor. So why do you want to do this thing in the first place? And for some people, we did mention, like some people, it might be that wedding coming up or that beach holiday coming up, whatever it is. But like, I think it needs to be much deeper than that. It can't just be that superficial type thing. And I said to him, what about the fact that working out and training actually helps to increase the blood flow in your whole body, and in fact helps your mind to work better because there's increased vascular activity in the brain? So what about that? So
Did that ring a bell with him at all?
Yeah, I did. Hey Ash, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for giving us a thumbs up there. Also Kirsten Green saying hello, Clint. So yeah, we've got a few listeners here. I kind of rang with him. Yeah, I think because he's an IT guy, so he likes to think and solve problems. I think being able to solve problems, you got to also be in that alpha brainwave state. So you got to be able to be at a less stress level when you're at work. You can't be in that high frequency brainwaves all the time if you're trying to solve like creative problems, or if you're a designer or whatever you are. It doesn't matter. Actually, all work sometimes needs solutions. So you need to be able to
also like maintaining your mood, like that clarity of mind and how good you feel as well, because it's about the oxygen high, isn't it? It's not just about the serotonin and dopamine. It's actually an oxygen high, like from Wim Hof. You really oxygenate yourself, then you're going to think better, your mood's more stable, you recover better. So it's more, people I think are understanding more and more the effect that all has on your mental health. It's not just about looking hot for a day or two. And like we all know, I mean, I say to my clients sometimes too, but I'm 2 kilos heavier than I was this morning. I'm like, yeah, but we actually fluctuate, especially women, depending on where we are in our cycle as well. We fluctuate between 2 and 3 kilos per day, so it's best not to worry about the scale too much. Think more about how you feel. How did you feel after that session? And that's why I really love coaching skills and, like calisthenics and like gymnastics in CrossFit or just functional fitness, that when people are learning skills, how to use kettlebell better and things, they're focusing more on that. And then they don't like it at first. They have a bit of resistance at first. They're like, it's a bit boring, it's frustrating, but give them a couple of weeks. Then suddenly I always get this feedback of like, I feel great. I couldn't do that the other week. And I'm just feeling it more in my day. I'm stronger at football. I can sort of move better, So once they're focusing on the skills and getting better at that, it becomes like a secondary goal. They're so more excited about those benefits that the body image becomes a bit of a secondary thing, which I really, really like.
I do like that. Yeah, it builds on that confidence upon confidence. So do you guys take calls? Well, I don't actually know how to do that in StreamYard, so I'm gonna say no. I could probably invite someone here. Maybe if you send me your email, I won't show it on the screen, and then maybe we can try and invite you onto the chat. But that's always a bit scary. You never know who you're gonna get. Well, I know Ash, and Ash actually I play with him touch rugby, and so he's yeah. So that's actually an interesting point, because you look at some rugby players and you can see they're pretty big guys, the props, and they're running around. You look at the number ones and the number threes, and they're big guys, and you think they're carrying a bit of extra weight, but actually, how do they feel, and what's their metabolic health? It's probably pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, in general, I think those guys that are strong, even if they're carrying a little bit of extra, they're probably powerful guys, aren't they? And they're the ones also that probably play sports for years, but enjoy a beer and a good feed afterwards. So why not? But if they're feeling good and they're powerful and they're able to do well at their sport, that's probably more gratifying over the long term, isn't it, than being a lean ninja that can look good on the beach in front of everybody. So, but also, like you say, when we try and adjust things with diet, so for instance, intermittent fasting, like, I think most people know it does have really, really strong effects. My nutritionist friend says there's a massive lack of studies, by the way, on women versus men. So hardly any of these studies are done on women. So there's still like a bit of doubt about how it affects them.
Yeah.
But in general, if you're really strict with yourself and you do follow intermittent fasting, it's like a bit of a hack, like you said, like
it's a biohack, isn't it?
Then it does start releasing your insulin low for much longer, and then you're ignoring the ghrelin sign telling you you're hungry, and then you start getting more and more growth hormone, so you become muscle. I've tried this, and I definitely gained muscle mass. So I think that's good. People start to use that, but then is it really sustainable long term? Is it making you feel good and free? And I think people should just feel good every day without having to think too hard about all this stuff. Just have a nice routine and not obsess about not what time they can eat and that kind of thing. It's try things out, isn't it? For a few weeks, as you always test your products out.
I think that I do think that eating within an 8 to 10 hour window is good for us, and in fact should become part of our lifestyle. Because I was listening to, who was it? What podcast was it now? Mark Hyman's podcast, and he was talking to, I can't remember which one it was, but he did mention that a long while back, let's say 100, 200 years ago, people weren't snacking as much as they snack now, because I think food is much more abundant now, and they would probably eat, 6 o'clock at night, and then the next morning at maybe 8 o'clock they'd have some food, so they would break fast, and that's actually where the word came from. And so there was at least a 12 to 14 hour window when they weren't eating, and in that 12 to 14 hour window, like you say, you intermittent fasting for that period of time, growth hormone increases, your body's actually repairing itself. It's all the cells are getting rejuvenated. The ones that shouldn't be there, they say, well, we don't need you anymore, you go. But if you're constantly eating, and you're eating at 10 o'clock at night, and then you wake up in the morning eating at 6 o'clock, you're not giving your body enough time to regenerate and to recover. So definitely muscle mass is something to think about. Like the growth hormone is definitely something important here, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I came across that word growth hormone for the first time when I was in Virgin Active in South Africa, and I was quite naive, I think, at that point. I had no idea how many people use steroids out there. And probably over here as well, like in the gym industry, like we're talking about, less so I think in sports, out on the field, because people aren't doing it for the aesthetics so much. So what do you know about steroids? Have you tried it, Clint? Full exposure?
No, not steroids, no. I've always been a bit scared about putting stuff into my body. I even scared about taking nootropics. So I'm not the type of guy, even psychedelics or anything like that. I'll be like, I don't think so.
It messes with your mind a little bit.
I don't know. I almost feel like I don't need to go on a spiritual experience necessarily, for one thing. But I think it's fine for other people to go on psychedelics and nootropics, but steroids now. That's where I draw the line, because I think that's bad for your body.
And I don't think people know enough about the long-term effects of that. I don't think there's enough knowledge out there. So how would you know if it's really, really changing your hormones to that level? It must have a big effect on you overall and long term. But that's why I started to really get more passionate about the mental health side of things, and then really exploring with my clients, what was their reason for training, because it can't just be about looking good for other people. It's got to be, you have to, if it's not fun, if you're not doing it for feeling good, like you said, you need to find a way, something that is making you feel like that, because otherwise you're doing like self-torture all the time, aren't you? Going to work, going to the gym, worrying about what people think of you, go home, check out how you look, when you're just enjoying yourself. It's got to be something, you got to find a sport or a movement that helps you. So that's why I really, really love it when clients start changing their mindset a bit. And then it's almost like you're exercising, you find that sport that's really fun, you find that community, suddenly you're doing it because you want to feel good and you want to perform better, and then you actually look good accidentally anyway, because that becomes your primary goal, which is so much more gratifying. I think I'm eating well now because I want to do well tomorrow in that class and I want to feel good. So the mindset and the focus is very different and much healthier, I think, and has longevity to it.
Definitely. You kind of find your tribe as well. So you just go to, like, you know, finding a movement that you like, going to that class, feeling like you fit in, whatever it is. Even if you think, well, maybe you're an older lady and you never thought about doing kickboxing. Hey, why not? Yeah. Yeah. So definitely. And it is hard though I don't know how you found it with some clients, but one particular client I had, I said, what type of exercise do you like? And he said, oh, don't like exercise at all. It's like, what kind of movement do you like? I don't know. What?
Yes, I've got a few.
Dancing, maybe?
Yeah. I think also suiciders, if they, for instance, will maybe start exercising because they start to get that lower back pain, you know, and they actually get some ailments. So again, it's not really body image, but yeah, at least they get moving. But yeah, it's really, really good. It's really great when you find something that just clicks with someone, isn't it? Whatever movement it is. Like you say, older ladies. I mean, that's why personally I really, really enjoy CrossFit, and that will stay with me because I do count as a sport, and like we look at lots of different exercises. But it's really relative. So I know I won't be strong forever, but you start to think, oh well, if I can deadlift by the age of when I'm 70, what an achievement! You've always got to think about what will make your clients feel like a success and what will make you feel successful. And again, that will like take you away from worrying about too much about how you're looking, because you just want to feel that sense of success and pride in what you're doing.
Definitely.
And you must feel like that with calisthenics as well. Like when you get your movement that you've been left a flag. I mean, that's insane. That's brilliant.
I just
so much patience and mind work there as well.
It is. I was doing some hand balancing. I'm trying to do a handstand for about a minute now, and I'm up to about 35 seconds. But as you age, I think also it's a mindset thing about age. And also I think that we definitely do have to be focusing on muscle strength as we age. We have to do that. And so important against all-cause mortality. Also, I just want to encourage some people out there that you don't have to be doing CrossFit. You don't have to be a Liz. You don't have to be a Clint. You don't have to do this extreme stuff that we do. And there's even more people. There's other people who do more extreme stuff than us. But you can just find something that you like, even if it is dancing or walking or hiking or whatever it is. You just go for it.
Absolutely. But also don't be intimidated to go to these things, because there's always the most basic movement where you start from. So you go into a class, you go to a calisthenics class, people are doing the bar muscle ups, but you start on a banded pull-up, and you're still successful in your own right. So I think, there's that big intimidation that people feel, but everyone's involved, everyone's welcome, and there's always a level that you can start at. Definitely. So that's what's really good about those things too.
Yeah, it's also like if I want to do calisthenics and I can't do a planche right now, and I think I want to do it in 1 year, but maybe it's going to be 5 years. So, but just don't give up. It takes a long time sometimes to get where you want. We've got Ash Pond saying, I think we just need the truth. We are all marvelous and beautiful in our own way. We have a tendency to believe falsehoods like we'll have to look like Brad Pitt or Clint. Stop.
This is your best buddy.
Yeah, he's my best supporter, best friend. Oh dear. Okay,
so Ashley, that's the thing. It's but it also works both ways. I actually wanted to talk to you about because it's been raised recently, but I think people don't really know how to approach it so much. And you can't tell now because I'm in my Christmas jumper. Girls that do strength training, for instance, this is quite a topic. It's like skinny guys maybe, and girls that do strength training. And I do it because I want to be strong, and I've been doing it for years. And the feeling of it makes me feel successful and good, and it gives me confidence for the rest of my day. But it also means I've got muscle mass and I've got big shoulders. So even when I think I'm going out feeling really feminine, I will get comments all the time wherever I go. Like true, any female athletes, go to the shop, you get some guys commenting. We get comments wherever you go, and like, how do you think that makes us feel? So it's body image also on the other side. Actually, we're not doing it for that, for that reason. We're doing it because we want, like, it's for our sport. It's for more of our mental health and like our personality and who we are. We still get judgments on it. You know what I mean? So it's like whatever shape and size you are, there'll be people projecting that on you. So you just cannot care. Like, it doesn't, it's like people making judgments on a tattoo you have. Like, it's nothing to do with them. It's so, it's all silly, isn't it? It's all silly stuff that we have to try and block out of our minds and just truly believe in why we're doing things and know what it's for. And then you'll stick to it and you'll feel healthier. And as long as the benefits outweigh the sort of negative feelings, then it's got to be good. Like dancing, like you say, is always good.
I can't believe that guys actually comment on it to you. Maybe.
Really?
What do they do? Do they comment to you, or they say it behind your back, or what do they? That's unbelievable, actually.
To my face, like the coach I work with, she was at Lidl, and guys walk past like, oh, you big biceps, oh, you look strong. Or I was carrying a massage table in the city, and a guy walked past and said, oh, I'd help you, but you really look like you can handle yourself. I've been approached in a bar behind myself, things that like literally somebody just grabbed my arm. How much can you deadlift? All the time. It's everywhere. It's
childish.
And then after it's not really that, it affects you. So you've got to feel stronger about why you're doing it all. And yeah, it's everywhere. Unfortunately,
guys are probably intimidated. That's what it is. Like,
what?
I'm supposed to be the one with muscles.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's one of those things. You just have to. It makes you mentally more tough to ignore it and feel sorry for them if they feel like it's okay. They think it's okay to comment at someone in the street. It's like, it's very silly, isn't it? It's a silly thing.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking now about, and I think of his name. Is it Gok1? Did I say that right? The fashion guy. Anyway, I could get that name totally wrong. I'm sorry, but he was on BBC, and he does this program like feeling good in your body, and it gets the woman to undress and look at themselves in the mirror and kind of accept what it is that they're looking at. So I do think we need to accept. We have to be almost like in life, right? You, with your finances, for example, you have to be content with what you got. You should say, oh, I have everything I need right now, and if I need more, it'll come from somewhere. And even if you're in dire straits, I know it's sometimes easy to speak from a place of privilege like myself, but I have been in tough situations before, of course. And you got to say, I'm content with what I have right now, but I am working towards something better. And almost in your body, it might be a similar thing where, all right, I got this extra tire down here, but now I'm working. I'm happy because this is it's stored energy. Think about it, right? So you got this, you got this tire. But that tire is stored energy. Now, what are you going to do?
Yeah,
you can use it, right? You can use that belly to do stuff. So don't think of it like as something that's not a part of you. Think of it as something that is part of you. Accept it. Only when you start to accept it can you use it. You can't use something you haven't accepted. If you're trying to reject that part of you, maybe you got thick ankles or thick knees or a big belly or a big bum or whatever. Accept your big bum. Accept your thick ankles. Use them for something else, and you say, well, I want to use this belly to maybe be more creative or more social or whatever, and you start to see that belly start to reduce. Perhaps that might sound like woo fancy.
No, I totally hear what you're saying. So I think if you've got a bigger picture level of acceptance and sorry to use the word that's so out there, but like gratitude, if you're grateful for like bigger things in your life and like that gives you a sense of what is important. So if you start with a big circle, then when you get down to looking like the little imagery stuff, that's just very on the surface and temporary. Yeah, it's important. It's less vital, so you can start to play with it a little bit, like you say. So I know exactly what you're saying. So we're all very focused on feeling strong and fit, and being the right sort of just feeling fit and strong. So recently, as a few of us were drinking a bit and having some meals, we're allowed out, and we were putting on a bit, and we were just laughing because we said, it's Christmas. It's give your little name a little name. Sorry, your little belly a name for the period. I'm like, oh, it's Nelly belly for Christmas. It's it's going to be here for a month. I'm having a good time. That's cool. Like play with it and have a laugh because you've got to. Like, you're not going to stop having dinners and seeing your friends over this time. So just laugh at it. Laugh at yourself a little bit, and then you'll feel.
we got Ash saying, "I'm going to use mine for delivering presents." Yeah. Thanks, Ash. You've been a really great contestant, but audience for us today. So what I was going to touch on is, even though I might sound like, oh, I don't care how I look, I actually do care how I look.
Yeah, we all care.
Yeah, I do care how I look. That's why I'm enjoying putting on some muscle mass now. In fact, more muscle mass. I've put on more muscle mass now than I have when I used to do gym like weight training, which is quite weird. Maybe because I have started intermittent fasting and growth hormone,
you know
like you
a lot
mentioned.
more about everything in health now, don't you? So you're probably doing more of the right things.
Potentially, yeah. And then doing some like really hard stuff at home. Like I'm trying to do handstands, push-ups. So like doing it, so using your full body weight, but going beyond like the floor level.
Definitely 6 handstand push-ups. Yeah, they're fun.
That's really hard. I can do 5 roughly, and I think that has contributed to more muscle mass. And you do start to feel good about, oh, geez, I'm looking pretty good in the mirror. And so it's always that bit of a not vanity, but
it's almost different. I think like how you described it now, it's like this accidental gains, isn't it? You're looking like, oh, that's cool. Whilst I was trying to get that movement and feel stronger, I've got this as well. And I think that's how it should be, and that's what I like kind of aspire. I want all my clients and people to get like love it when it comes, but let it be accidental and let it be a part of the journey, not an obsession. Not like the goal. Otherwise, you're doing all those sessions, and I always think like in whatever you do, that's an hour of your time. If you're not enjoying the hour of that time, what are you doing? Like we're in one life here, so to enjoy the hour of time, give yourself a focus, and then the body image acceptance comes along with it. I think a bit more.
So, what do you think about someone who I've got a friend? I won't mention names, but he does play rugby with us as well. Who I'm pretty bad with names, but don't mention that again. He wants to play rugby more regular on the weekends, but because of family now, sometimes it doesn't happen, right? And then he's like, well, I don't like running, but he does like squash, right? So squash is a good sport because that's quite cardiovascular, right?
Very anaerobic as well. Yeah, he's going to get fit.
Yeah. So it's almost like I think enjoying like 1 hour of squash is actually quite enjoyable, especially when you beat me all the time. It's like, yes, I won the game. Don't worry, play against me. It's fine. You can win all the time. But so I think people need to just think a little bit outside the box. Say, look, if you don't like running, which I don't like running, really. I just run 3Ks every now and then just to get a bit of cardiovascular in because I'm doing more strength training. So you got to do a bit of cardiovascular, I think.
Yeah, that's a benefit as well. Yeah, I think it's definitely a personality trait, isn't it? Because I do best when I keep everything varied. I really, I've got that brain type personality type. I need to keep varying things. I need to feel like I'm always learning and moving and trying different things, exploring. But some people really, and you'll know this from your clients, maybe you're like this, need that regimented. I'm doing this, and I've got this time slot, and I need to know exactly what I'm doing, and whatever works for them. Because then maybe somewhere else in their life, like you say, they can have that regimented bit, but then maybe they can have something a bit more creative as well that makes them feel a bit more free and playful. So maybe that's dancing or squash or swimming. I think it's good to get both sides, isn't it? Like an intense focus, and then a bit more playful where you're just forgetting it all and having a laugh and feeling more meditative. Really, like a lot of sport and exercise is meditative, isn't it?
Definitely. So let's move on to that because it's a good point about. There's 2 things I want to mention: inflammation and stress. Okay, so let's mention inflammation first, and let's not forget about stress. So if we do get into inflammation now and we kind of get sidetracked, inflammation. So I was talking to, recently, yesterday, again, my client, in the beginning of our 12-week program, I asked him what type of oil he uses to cook. And he said, well, sunflower oil, because he heard that sunflower oil was healthy. And there was that messaging by the brands saying your sunflower oil is the right oil, but actually sunflower oil, the processed sunflower oil, it does cause inflammation in your body. Now, if you're a person, so maybe you're listening today and you're thinking, I do everything, guys. Listen, I exercise, I eat well. We don't always know that eating well might not be eating well, but I eat well. I'm not that stressed. I still can't lose the weight. And one thing you must check out perhaps is what type of food you are eating. If you're eating foods that are highly inflammatory, then you won't be able to shift that weight very easily without intense workouts. I mean, intense, right? So you have to put on a lot. So have you ever do you know about this? Is it something that you've thought about or talked about before?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It is something that I touch on with my clients. If they say, I mean, we always talk about diet, of course, but if they're struggling to lose some, I definitely always bring that up because I've experienced myself allergies or close to allergies. So definitely oil is a big one, Clint. So if I use olive oil or sunflower oil, I get really bad inflammation, and you feel
Really?
puffed up, your sinuses puff up.
So you feel that immediately almost?
Yeah, and even if someone's cooking with it, like if I smell it, it makes my whole face and everything.
Wow.
It's really, really powerful. So that's just me. I make sure there's so many people like that. And also the FODMAP diet.
Heard of that?
Fermented something or other. I'll find out what it means.
I'll do it now if you want. FODMAP, yeah. Keep going.
Yeah, thank you. So it's a whole list of foods that people don't realize they're so common, and they cause a massive inflammatory response in your body, and that really makes your belly really, really expanded, and even your arms and all your cells are inflamed. So it makes you feel like you're heavier and you're fatter than you are. And it's a really, really powerful, common thing. And people just put it down to, I've got a little bit of a stomach ache and maybe a bit of IBS and this and that. I think it's a lot more common than that. So FODMAP is often like broccoli, cauliflowers, a lot of pulses, garlic, onion, chickpeas. So I've played with it, and I've recognized these are things that I cannot eat, or if I just have a tiny bit of one, it's fine. But I just stay away from it. So I can't be a vegan for that reason, unfortunately. But no, you just have to. I think it's very, very common. I've spoken to quite a lot of my clients about it, and it makes you feel down because your body's always in this inflamed state, and it's working hard to try and fix that. So it makes you feel flat. It makes you feel like a bit, bummed out, and that's just from what you eat. It's insane. So, like you say, it's really important that people look at that. And as soon as you shift it to more of an alkaline, inflammatory-free-ish diet, it helps a lot. And then you feel more energized. I think that's when you see a corner turn with these clients. They start exercising and enjoying it a lot more. You fix that little inflammation. Have you heard of that? Did you find what it is?
I have, but I'm trying to share my screen. I don't know if it's working on StreamYard. Can you see something here, like FODMAP, Healthline?
No.
Okay, so
That's where I find it before as well. So fermented foods, fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. They're all short chain carbohydrates.
Oh, here we go. I think I can actually share this. Just new to not new, totally new, but a little bit new to StreamYard. And there you go. I think I'm sharing this now. So the name, or what FODMAP stands for, fermentable oligodemonosaccharides.
Okay.
That's intense.
Yeah, let's leave it as FODMAP. Yeah, so it causes digestive discomfort in people, and it's a hypersensitivity to luminal distension, creates excess water retention, gas production, accumulation. It's intestinal inflammation. There's a lot of inflammation there.
There is, yeah.
I think a lot of people don't know about this because we're so focused on fat, sugars.
Yeah.
This is a type of carb, and they are all in healthy seeming foods. Garlic, cauliflower, big ones, pulses.
Yeah, so I do get a bit of gas, and I've found that actually, even though I don't eat any wheat, which I thought it was, actually some vegetables give me gas, and so I should probably be on the carnivore diet.
Yeah, I know. When I read the list of these FODMAP, I was like, what am I going to eat? You just find those foods that don't make you feel like that, and then you'll find.
What are they saying?
It's with sunflower oil as well. I think that's on the list.
Foods. So it's foods you can eat on low FODMAP: meats, fish, eggs. That sounds good to me. All fats and oils. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Most herbs and spices. Yes, definitely. I love nuts and seeds.
Yeah.
I do like more bananas and blueberries. This morning I had blueberries and kefir, or kefir, some people call it. I don't eat a lot of dairy products, although I had kefir, but I don't eat cheese and drink milk.
Yeah, that's another one that I need to stay clear of. That really, really makes me bloated and feel massive as well.
Which one is it? Dairy?
Dairy, yeah. It's really common, isn't it?
I'm very happy about this. Coffee.
But then that's why it's so nice. You can get all these coconut yogurts, coconut milk,
that's right, yeah.
oats, all these great things. I mean, I've got some vegan friends, and they eat, and they're athletes, they're strength trainers. They eat a lot of, obviously, avocado, a lot of high fat, good fat foods. So you've got to be careful with that, I suppose. But then oats, peas, broccoli, all these things have sneaky amounts of protein in. So you can get a lot of good non-inflammatory foods from oats and protein powder. I didn't realize.
Yeah, coconut is a good source. Like they even make ice cream with coconut, but I wouldn't suggest that necessarily because of the sugar.
Oil. Yeah. I use coconut oil on my face, on everything. It's really good.
Yeah, definitely. Have you heard of the mouth? What do they call it? Where you put coconut in your mouth and just swirl it around?
Oh yeah. What's that good for?
Well, I read it. I first saw it from Sarah's Day, which she was a YouTube phenomenon back in the day with exercising. Then she moved on to products, and she was talking about this swirling coconut oil in your mouth, and it actually helps with your dental.
That's it.
Yeah, it's antibacterial, right? So
yeah.
it is a bit annoying, like uncomfortable to do it for 20 minutes and swish oil around in your mouth and then spit it out. Dave Asprey, also the biohacker, talks about it and says it's good. But there's not a lot of clinical evidence to support the claims. But then again, the only reason they say that is because there hasn't been proper large clinical trials around it, right? So you can't prove everything, but you know intrinsically, either through tradition or what do they call it? From tradition, from of old wives' tales, that it works, right? Some old wives' tales don't work, but certain things do, right? So what they didn't have clinical trials to use. What's that?
It's like a mass social experiment, isn't it? An old wives' tale. It's come from somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah. So, got some new comments. Let's just see what's going on here. I see. I think Ash here says his wife has to go low Fodmap. If you experiment a little, you can eat some in small amounts. Okay.
That's what I found as well, Ash. So if I have one or two things that I know are on the list, but if you have a lot together, that's when it could just go. It's not comfortable. It really you can't sleep. It's so painful. So it can be really an aggressive reaction. But like you say, just have a little bit here and there. Yeah, garlic.
I think onion does cause gas, doesn't it? But it's a really good food, though.
Yeah, you can have a little bit. I think tiny bits. Yeah, actually, I was wondering, Clint, about in terms of body image. I mean, I'm in my I won't disclose where in my 30s, but I'm in my 30s.
31 maximum, surely.
Let's go with that. And now a friend of mine, we were talking about the sort of mental health and that body image linked with I don't want to say kids now, but like teenagers, even sort of young adults now who have grown up with that social media experience a lot more, like Instagram, and constantly checking themselves against images. I mean, they must have it tougher. So even more, I think like that's vital that they understand the mental side of the importance of finding a sport they love. I don't know how we can get this message across that they don't need to just go to the gym and smash themselves or just not eat. That we need to help people highlight how important it is that they need to find something that's fun.
That's so true, and I haven't really thought about that. Well, as in for this conversation, but it's a really good point. I've got two daughters, 9 and 8, and then two boys, 5 and 4. And I think for the girls, there can be that pressure growing up, and I don't think they notice it now. My children eat like small amounts anyway, and they obviously don't have any problems at the moment. But I suppose as they get older, they might start to fill out a bit more and then start to think, how do I look now? And they might start getting social media accounts and all that, and then I know that's going to affect them in the future, perhaps.
Well, I think because you've programmed them to enjoy the outdoors and to enjoy what you do, so it's already in their psyche. But for those that haven't had that sort of conditioning or experience growing up, it might be a bit of a challenge. So we'll have to look at them.
So it's important as parents, as mentors to your kids, or as the shapers, helping them to shape their lives, is to really give them a good self-confidence about who they are and how they look. And I do tell my kids, I tell my kids that you're beautiful, you look good, you're handsome, all that stuff. And I think it's important for them to hear that before they start putting makeup on, that and false eyelashes and nails, that they look good just as they are.
Yeah, definitely. You're a good dad.
I try. But we all fall short somewhere. So I mean, even if your kids are in their 20s, and don't be too hard on yourself. It's never too late for someone to change and for you to be a good influence on somebody else. So
yeah, There's more rewarding ways of making other people feel good, isn't there? Just the outside. I think it's really good that also, although there is the bad side of social media, they are also posting more about strong women, larger women, people of all shapes and sizes, and having positive messages around that, and that's good. That needs to continue.
Definitely, yeah. So just thinking about not there's a lot of different body shapes out there, and I was just thinking about some people who are built in ways that they will never look like me, for example, because of their body structure, their bones, for example. So I don't think there's like this one ideal that you should look like. You just feel like what I think it should feel like is you should start to feel a bit light. You should feel light in your body. I think that's the aim to me, is to not feel like gravity is weighing you down so much. What do you think?
Yeah, feel light in the body, but also feel clear-headed, and I think that's what those two go hand in hand, don't they? Feel mentally alert is really important. If not, then you're doing something a bit wrong. I also thought it was interesting that just to touch on from Mel's point of view, a male friend just the other day mentioned to me, he was at school, he was always kind of a bit embarrassed because he had just naturally chunky lower half, like chunky legs, and strong. And now now he's older, actually everyone wants to, all the guys actually want that strong legs, and actually his strong legs now help him with cycling and his sport. And so it's funny how that changes over time as well. But why would he have, it's how sad that he felt that he was chunky, but now he's like, no, that's it, like I've got a big bum, it's nice, it's good. That's good. Suddenly I'm strong on my squats. I think you understand, and if you can understand your body and your shape for what it is, and then start to decide, so how can I actually best use this to be efficient in whatever I'm doing? That's the healthier way, isn't it? I just want to know that my body is as efficient or as good as it can be with living a healthy, lifestyle, be balanced, and give my belly a name every so often so I don't feel so bad about it.
Just reminds me of, although I read so many books, I just can't remember where I read it now. It mentioned the same point about finding, it's Atomic Habits. That's what it was, James Clear. He mentioned it near the back of the book, where he says, find what you're good at or what you would naturally be good at.
Yeah.
If you got like a big bum, maybe it's good for squats or powerlifting or maybe even running or rugby or whatever. So if you're a short guy, although there's been some short guys who've played basketball professionally, and you do get some short scrum halves in rugby. So, but you're never going to find a short guy doing the position of the lock. The lock's going to be the tall guy in the line out catching the balls. You're not going to cut it if you're my height, 5'9", 5'10". It's not going to happen, right? But so just make sure that your skills, your strengths, your predisposition in your body or whatever it is you're using it in the right way. Instead of trying to beat yourself up to try and achieve something you'll never be able to achieve.
Set yourself realistic goals, realistic targets, and like if you're going to compare yourself or look at someone, because I always do better when I'm around people that inspire me as well. So if I'm going to look to someone to inspire me, I'm also not I'm going to realize that maybe they're strong in this way, but I'm faster in that way. That's okay. I feel it's more like that energy that makes me want to go harder, and that's a really good thing. But you can't compare yourself. Like, still be realistic about what your body is naturally going to be best at, and then that will make you feel really, really good. I had a coach in South Africa, and he always said, we're trying to be good at so many things, but know your small skills. So maybe it's a pull-up or a push-up or a one-legged squat or whatever it is, or double unders, skipping, and really make sure you're always exceptional at that. And that will, doing good stead, and that overall then it'll help you balance out on the other things that you're not so good at. I feel that was quite a good point. It's just you're always feeling amazing about that one thing. That's cool.
I love that. Scrum half for you, Clint, or film star. The book I'm reading, Jay Shetty, Think Like a Monkey, talks about almost our society has been. Sorry, let me just get rid of that. He's laughing at me. He's saying society is almost like, well, let's find out where you're weak so we can bring up your weaknesses to your strengths. And it's almost like, well, no, because I'm really good at this, so I'm going to build on this. And sure enough, what Jay says is if your compassion is low and you're not really good at compassion, it's not that you should neglect it and not grow it at all, because maybe it's like a weakness. Like for me, I'm not naturally compassionate. generally.
Yeah.
So I do have to work on my compassion, but I'm not going to focus on my compassion so I can bring it up to my strongest level of something. I want to focus on what I'm good at and go with that. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've changed like that as well in the past few years. The more sort of deeper understanding I've got of myself, actually even this year during lockdown, because we've been forced to, look a bit more internally, and it's been really, really helpful, I think. So I realize what I'm good at and what I really enjoy and what I feel when I feel good, go with those as much as possible. And every day just try and be a little bit better at the things that I'm not so good at, but just you don't put yourself down on them, but it's just good to be aware that you need to work on them, and that's fine. But keep going with all the good things, because they always say, don't they, if you're giving out good energy, then that will help other people in some way that you don't even know about as well. So if you're, like you say, go stick with your good traits and really work on those and make them be your leading factor. I think that's a great way to do it, because then you're always going to feel good. And if people start telling you about giving you problems about the small things, like you say, society trying to make you feel small on this and that, it won't affect you so much because you've got this other bag of confidence on this side. So
because you're good at something else. So we got a few minutes left, and I was just thinking to talk about stress and how stress prevents you from losing weight. Some people think that if I'm stressed out, surely I'll be losing weight, but actually you don't lose weight if you're stressed, because you're kind of storing fat. Your body's in that mode where it's in panic mode. It's not doing a good digestion job. It's the flight or fight response is on. They call it so you get the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic is the one that you want to be in if you want to digest well. You want your metabolism to increase. But if you're in the sympathetic state, you're always stressed. Your digestion is not going to be so great. So when you do eat some food, it's not going to be assimilated into your body so well. It's not going to be digested so well. So people need to think about dealing with stress. Now, my tips are, and Liz, you might have some others, or it might be similar. My tips are to do. There's different ways of doing things. You can go extreme and do resonant. They call it. I've got the resonant breathing, where it's heart rate variability training for your heart, basically. So it's very quite simple. You just do timed breathing. You can look on it online. I'll post some links later in the comments, and that helps to your heart rate variability to be better. So you want variability in your heart rate. You don't want to be pumping at the same time, exactly the same time all the time. You want to be able to go fast and slow when you need to, and that helps you deal with stress. So breathing exercises are good. Meditation, of course, is good. People who meditate actually need less sleep. So if you're a good meditator, and it doesn't have to be for like half an hour each morning. I mean, I meditated for 5 minutes this morning. Well, actually, I consider my breathing exercises part of my meditation. So there would have been a total of about 10, 15 minutes. So I think people need to think about how they're dealing with stress. How are they making their body stronger and their mind stronger in order to deal with stress? Yeah,
absolutely. And I think, like you touched on a lot of things, but also cortisol. If you're stressed, cortisol is such a powerful hormone, as you know. And so if that's released all day, that's been proven to make you store fat, like you said, in certain areas more, in different in women and men as well. But also it means that you won't get the best out of your exercise either, because if your mental state, if your energy is going to stress and feeling that panic and anxiety and rushing, you're not going to perform that well either. So and your recovery is not so good. So it pervades over all areas of your life. So stress management is key. I always offer box breathing advice to people. So it just helps people, four, breathe in for 4, hold at the top for 4, breathe out, try and start to train yourself to lengthen the exhale through pursed lips.
Yeah, the longer exhale is better. Yeah,
it's really good. And then hold as well. The holding at the end of that is hard to start with too. But even company clients through that live, on Zoom or in person, and within 2 or 3 breaths, you feel like a different person, and it just reduces your heart rate. Suddenly, you're actually feeling what your body is feeling. You didn't realize that you had stress in your back. You didn't realize you had this pain in your knee until you actually stopped and did that. I do the same as you, Clint. So I do 5 minutes or 5 to 10 minutes of meditation in the morning, and I do some left and right side breathing. Okay. And that technique also really helps me feel what's happening in my head.
Is that the pranayama? So in the side.
So either side.
Out the side.
You breathe in and you breathe out.
On the other.
As you breathe out.
Yeah, there's different ways to do nostril breathing, but
yeah. So I learned that on my yoga course, and I found that really useful and just simple. It's a real simple way for me to start my meditation and just get into my body.
Yeah.
But I also think like you can do these little tips and do these small breathing exercises throughout any time in the day, because like we said, it takes 2 minutes and it changes how you feel completely. And I think that just helps you get a better hold of how you're handling the rest of your day mentally. Also, we talk about strength training and belly breathing. Yeah, brilliant. Pop your hand on your belly and breathe into your belly. That's a really good one. Also to help you fix your posture, because people don't realize how we're hunched over. I feel like strength training and sport, and something that we're trying to achieve on, so for you and I, calisthenics or CrossFit, it's a really cool focus, and it's a stressor in its own right. So I really think it's important to have a movement exercise and some form of movement, whether it's yoga or stretching, absolutely fine, or just walking or dancing, that's a bit just more free and more human and just without any thought, because I think that's also sort of, it's movement meditation. So I think the two are really important.
Movement meditation,
it's a nice way to feel like you just play and you just shake it off, you shake off the stress, a little dance at the beginning.
I think that's really good.
Then you're taking it easy, you're not thinking, some people struggle to meditate just because they think too much.
I think we do need to do that. So I'm really interested in that, because when I went to there you go, shake it off. I went to the London Real Conference, and who was it? Mantak Chia. I think he's the guy who talks about it, and he said the whole audience, we just must jump like this and make noises. There's this. It's a way to release the energy. Sometimes there's pent up energy that you need to get rid of, but not necessarily in an exercise way.
In our cells, it's been shown. So movement and shaking, it helps you get it out. I do a dance meditation with a group. So we just have the headphones on. Sometimes we're in a field, sometimes we're inside, and it's guided. And there's meditative music, and there's different sorts. And sometimes they guide you to shake everything. You feel amazing afterwards. It's just such a good, fun release. You're not thinking about anything. It's
actually kids do it. Yeah, kids do it naturally, don't they? Because if you look at kids, my 5-year-old, he does it sometimes just naturally. He makes noises like, oh, why is this making noises? Doesn't care what's going on, just making noises. Like,
I do the same.
Yeah, you do it at home anyway, don't you?
Yeah, and also twisting. If you can't do anything else and you feel too silly, twisting like that.
Yeah,
that's a really nice thing to do. Your body just feels nice.
Oh, there you go. So Ash has actually got the book as well, Awaken Healing Light Through the Tao, Mantak Chia. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool. So you gotta do that, man.
I think honestly, one of the top tips advice I try to give it to the clients in different ways if it arises, is just find the silliness again. Like, we're not meant to be here to be worried all the time. Like, find the silliness in your day somewhere. Like, you have to, otherwise you get mad. So just let it out, find whatever it is for you.
Definitely, man. If people actually there was a fly on the wall, there was a camera in my house, sometimes you think I'm just mad. I just make stupid noises in the kitchen. I didn't mind.
Do it, let it out.
Oh boy, Liz, it's been so great talking to you, and thanks to our number one fan, Ash, for listening in. I think you've been with us the whole way. Ash, please share this with others. I think it's been some good content. I really hope it reaches a lot of people out there, and we get some more comments. So Liz, you can share it on your platforms as well, and it'll be on YouTube as well. It's gone out live on the Facebook. So
brilliant. Do we use this same link, or you'll send me the link when you?
No, I think what I'll do is I'll send a link to the YouTube one to you afterwards, and we can share it from there. And what we could do, what could give you the audio of this, and we could just share it out wherever or whatever it is.
Perfect.
Great. So from yourself, Liz, is there any parting shots or?
Just one more silly thing that I don't mind embarrassing myself for other people. So one more silly thing that I find really helps me feel really stressed is to do what I call horse face.
I'm gonna see this.
It feels so good. So that would be my last.
Really? So you just like get it out.
Shake it all out.
Yeah.
On that, so if you're ever worrying about people what they think about your body, just remember what I said about how men also give comments. anyone any size, I'm muscly and people still make me feel, rubbish about myself. It's like, whatever it is. So don't even worry about it. Just do something silly and make yourself feel better in that moment. Because I think that's, and find your long-term goal, something that you're doing because it makes you feel good, not worrying about what makes you, what other people think about how you look.
I think it's powerful because you also got to know, find your tribe and feel confident in your tribe. So whether that's going to church and you resonate with spiritual people, or it's CrossFit and you resonate with them, or whatever it is that, that you find, there's a dance group, or whatever it is that you find. And if people give you bad comments, well, I don't care about what you think. I'm happy in my tribe. I'm happy here. I feel loved by these people.
Yeah. I mean, I read something somewhere, I can't remember where it was, but you've only got yourself to live with, haven't you? You've got to be your own best friend. You've got all your own memories. When you're 90, you look back and you're just going to remember how you felt. So you've got to be in charge of that and feel good about who you are and the people around you, and give that out.
Yeah, I tell my kids, well, not every day, but I tell them that it's go out there and make other people feel good. Because it's sometimes, because it's almost like we want to take. Sometimes we want to take. Like, how can you make me feel good? No, hey, how can I make you feel good?
Yeah, I love that.
There you
go. Great.
Liz, it's been great talking to you on Live Shots, and I'm sure we'll get another opportunity in the new year, and we'll see what your New Year's resolutions are.
Ooh, good one. Good points.
Maybe just like lift 100 kgs over your head or something. I don't know.
Dance more, sing more in public.
Dance more, sing more in public. Wow, that is. Oh, and you were doing that gratitude challenge, weren't you? That was quite.
Yeah. Brilliant, mate. It actually helped me a lot. Changed my mindset a lot. Really, really good.
Cool. Yep. So let's catch up next year and see how things are in 2021. How lockdown's gone. Well, at least the pandemic. Hopefully, it's over by then, and things have returned to some kind of normal. And we're helping more people to feel good, lose weight. So if you want to get hold of Liz, obviously lmfit.co.uk, I think it is.
It's lmfit.uk.
Oh, .uk. No .co. So lmfit.uk. Liz can guide you through a whole lot of things. Probably more qualified than me to train you in all aspects of life. Been around the block many times. But yeah, so great having you on the Live Shot, Liz, and thanks to all the listeners listening in.
Thanks, Clint. Happy Christmas.
Okay.